done. Are there other things that I'd like to see? Yes. They're not going to design it for me or anyone else in this room. We're taking a step, but we need to support it because it moves us in the right direction. And I think what the FC would like to see is, I think I'm right, is we want for numbers, and it turns out that 6 of us buy up all the numbers. The FC turns around and goes, 6 guys got all the numbers. Well, there's no reason for this. If you have clients, get out there, market, call business owners you know. If you know the 833s, which I know all of you in the room who are in the vanity site, you know what's up for auction. Talk to your clients. Say, this number's coming for auction. I think it'd be a great number for your brand. Do you want to bid on it? Let me bid on it for you. I can help you bid on it. Here's why it's valuable. Let's get business owners to actually come into the auction, get these things to establish why they're valuable to these business owners, and then get them using them. The FCC looks at it and says, hey, this is a start. So new business owners came in and got numbers, and they started marketing. I think that that's one thing we can do is don't be afraid to open up the gate a little bit. You know, you have to open up just like the domain industry did, and now there's still guys who make a lot of money speculating. They know value, they know how to market. And even when other people, we get calls all the time from people who own great numbers that don't know what to do with them. They say, okay, Paul, can you help us market? So I think one thing that'll help the entire industry is getting some more business owners involved and not keeping it a closed world. We need to start expanding our horizons, like the domain industry did from the speculator days to the open market days.
That's perfect. And you know, what Jay talked about this morning was best or better use, which is exactly what you're talking about. He's looking for a way to make sure these assets, as he calls them, find their way into the hands of those that will use them the most.
When there's numbers flooded onto the market, someone can go to somebody else and get it, and a guy's happy to make $100 or $200 where I want to make, you know, thousands because I have a staff and a team. But okay, then the market will work itself out. Look, I can buy the same sneakers anywhere, but Zappos is doing a good job. It means I have to add more value, I have to add more services, I have to package on more things to create value to my brand. And so ultimately, we'll see, it's better than the alternative where people call me, or I go out to a lot of conferences, I do about 10, 15 a year, and people say, nobody uses numbers anymore. Well, if we open up the market, maybe more people will start using them. And I get calls, I've had calls where a guy says, all right, Paul, I need a number. I was at a trade show, true story, 6 months ago, not this conference in Vegas, the last one, a guy came over to me and said, I didn't even have a booth. And the guy walked over to me and said, hey, there's a guy using a great number in my market. Do you know where he got it? And I kind of said, yeah, from me. And he said, well, all right, well, now you got to get me one. And in literally 5 minutes, he took a number from me. I've known the guy for 5 years. He's never got a number from me. But because he saw a competitor using a number to market successfully, he walked over and instantly took a number. I didn't sell him. I didn't find him. I didn't pay for a booth. So there'll be this market fluctuation. But in the long run, it will work itself out. And the guys who build value into their brands will make money. And we will, again, lift all of the numbers and all of the time. And in some areas we might not. That's how markets work.
You remove some of the friction and the true market dynamics will prevail. And we heard Jay talking about that as one of the FCC's key objectives this morning. I see.
Quite frankly, the only thing I fear is the flood of numbers on the market in the beginning when anyone can buy and sell them. And I have some fear about unscrupulous people like posting and selling things they don't own and they don't have control over, which is why I think it's okay to take a baby step first, what the FCC is doing, right, the perfect way or not, so we can establish some, rules that if you want to sell a number, there needs to be a rest book involved. Somebody like Somos needs to say, yes, that person is the rightful seller, the transaction is legitimate, because we've seen it before where, guys will acquire numbers. I've got numbers from rest boards, legitimately, from a rest board, and then 6 months later, somebody called us and said, why do you have my number? And the rest board should have released it. So I fear that in the beginning there'll be some, players that are not honorable and maybe take advantage of it. I've gotten over this, I'm worried about everybody flooding the market, devaluing my inventory. I think that it's the right thing to do. I will find new opportunities. I will take assets I have and invest in them more so that I can sell them later for a higher premium. So, and I think the markets will work itself out. The regulatory agencies will, Somos will, rest boards will, and we will find, escrow.com will, and find different ways to protect the business owners to make sure they're transacting correctly.
Yeah, Yeah, that's a very good point. And I know personally I found comfort in hearing Jay this morning talk about do this incrementally, do this thoughtfully. You know, a lot of what his concerns are in making this work is pretty much what you were just articulating.
We don't know, but when you have a market that's closed and quiet and operating in the, the back alley and under assumed names and in these transactions you can't do it, it's a lot easier for people to get taken advantage of. Because they can't go, people say to me, what's a number worth? I don't know, it's not like the real estate market or the art market where you could look at valuation and say, well, these things have done this is what it could be worth. You might have one number, and somebody will think it's worth $1 million, somebody will value it at $10. So, when we open it up a little bit, people have a better understanding of what things might be worth, and we can protect people from bad transactions, guide them into the right transactions. I think overall, it'll legitimize more and open things up and weed out the unscrupulous players.
And it'll kill you. So a secondary market for toll-free numbers could develop for them.
Yeah, I love the answer. Before I do, another thing we're talking about the opportunities. When you see toll-free in the secondary market, ultimately the best number for the client is not the number I have. The best number for the client is the best number for the client. And by opening up the secondary market, when somebody comes to us for a number, I want it to be the last call they make. And I want to be able to go out and get them the best number for their brand and not try and put that square peg in a round hole. And when the market opens up, it means I can talk to other people and openly move their numbers and provide the best to the clients. I just want to add that. Yeah. In terms of the opportunity for Westborgs, we are not a Westborg. I work with some of the best Westborgs in the industry. But I think when the market opens up, it provides more, you provide another level of service. You are experts. You can help people with monetizing what they have to understand what they have. When they are going to make transactions, somebody has to move that number. Somebody has to validate the person that is selling it to you is the owner and has the right to transfer it. They can validate that the payments have been made and now the transfer takes place. So there's paperwork to document ownership. There's customer service issues that you can grow your customer service teams. So I think it expands also as a Westborg, you'll get more people using these assets that are sitting there, which means you're driving more minutes if you make money that way. So it's, people in the industry who are afraid of this business, look, I could buy and sell my house on my own. I could also buy and sell stocks on my own. But I use a stockbroker. I use a real estate agent. I use experts. We are experts. So there will be people that will want to transact on Craigslist and eBay. That's great. It'll raise the profile of the whole industry. Other people will want to use an expert. They're willing to pay a fee to have us, myself, or Westborg, somebody help them with their transaction. Help them to monetize it the best way they can and to make sure they're protected. I think that's what we get to do. I think that's what Westborgs get to do. I think that's what the phone service get to do. And ultimately, we drive the whole industry and then help develop new industries. I think from the domain industry business, you had escrow companies set up to handle transactions, auction sites, whole periphery industries open around it, and we are the leading experts in it. I'm comfortable in our position in it. There will be other people that enter it. That's okay. It'll grow the entire marketplace for all of us.
Interesting.
Day, dog walkers, home care companies, roofers. Some of them will come to us and say, I want this specific number. Often I'll tell them, you can't have it. Other times I'll tell them, look, I wouldn't recommend that number. I'll have a lawyer call me and he wants 1-800-Zabisky. And I'll say, you don't even know how to spell your own name. True story. So part of my role in the industry and where the industry grows is I will work with that client. Look, if that's what they want, I'll tell them why I don't think it's the right number, but I might help them try and find it. But otherwise, I'll go back and forth with them. It might be their brand message. It might be what they do. It might be a tagline. It might be an easy set of digits. But because I've established myself as an expert, people come to me. So I'm not worried about the opening market and everyone's going to do it. My position will disappear. Okay, I will have my position. I will be a noted expert. I will get my business, and the entire industry will rise because we can offer service, because we can guide, because we can consult, because we can keep people away from unscrupulous people doing the wrong thing. Getting a number in their market when there's an 800 in it, and they're going to get the 84455. They might not want that, so I try and offer consultative level sale. But to have to tell people I can't sell it to you. I'm sorry, I wouldn't invest a lot of money in it because if you want to sell your this, you can't do it later. I think that hinders all of us. Yeah. And I think by opening it up, it'll create opportunities and some threats, and that's part of what markets do. And generally, I feel across the board, markets tend to work themselves out. Entrepreneurs and business owners tend to figure things out. And if you free up our hands and the hands of this industry, we can innovate more and develop faster. But who wants to pour tens of millions of dollars in assets I can't really control and I can't move to somebody else? So I think those are, you have to look at the opportunities, not the necessary threats of, the market.
Yeah, so it's interesting. A lot of this story is around mainstream customers and use of toll-free. As Steve talked about in the domain industry when it first started, it was primarily speculators. It was those that were buying and trading in domain names. What we're talking about here in toll-free are not speculators. These are businesses. They're looking for vanity names. They're looking for numbers. They're looking for numbers that they can build a business around. They can pour some equity into. They can build that asset up. Right?
One immediate thing they could do is, you've got clients out there that have banks and numbers that are not in use. They've got them in, they've had them before, they're holding them in patterns. As a rest board, you might set up a customer services division that can help them go through those numbers that are not in use and maybe find opportunities where there's a better way for that client to monetize it than put in a direct response ad or use it as a random set of digits. And you say to that client, hey, we've helped you identify 3 to 5% of your inventory that there might be a market for, and then either help them market it, work with a company like ours, say, hey, we have a client, they've got these 10 numbers, they're just sitting on them, can we monetize them together? I can tell you that, when we organized our first summit of the vanity industry, as a lot of my friends in the room here, we don't agree on everything, but one thing many of us agree on is that we try and work together. I would say 50% of the numbers I license today, the clients that come to our website, we spend the money on the SEO, the trade shows, the PR release, are not numbers that were Ring Boost numbers. So it's helping all of us out because I want to get the client the right number. So I'll go out to, a Lauren or Rob or Daryl or Greg and I say, hey, I'm looking for this. And if I could do that with the rest works in this room that are not the typical vanity providers, they're not thinking of my industry, and I can make a phone call to a Verizon, to a Bandwidth, to someone else and say, hey, I see this number there. Is it being used? Maybe you want to reach out to the client that has it and it's just sitting there. Maybe they want us to monetize it together. So I think that's ways that rest boards can start to think about the market differently. So ultimately we get more numbers out in the marketplace and people thinking about, well, it's not about vanity. It's about voice. It's about people communicating using voice and ultimately texting because they want to text, they want to build their domains. I have an email that I got, I was going to share, from someone who found a number with us, changed his entire business to the number, went out and got the domain for the business, reordered all of his marketing materials, so now it's good for the domain guy, the printing guy, his car wrap guy, and he said the brand change changed his life, changed his company, changed his brand. We've told the story. So that's, those are stories that we like working with and want to grow and get out there because it's, it's one component. We spend a lot of money online. There's a new company here, Google. I think they're doing some cool stuff, and we spend a lot of money there. But the offline voice component is one that we want people to pay attention to because I don't think anything will ever replace it unless we allow it to become obsolete. We've allowed QR codes. We've allowed apps. We've allowed star, this. When our numbers can do it all, if we just get them out there more.
Right, go ahead, Paul.
My name is Greg Fernand. My name is Paul Fout with a company called RingBoost.com. For the past 15 years, we've been a leader in the shared use number business, helping companies get access to multi-million-dollar brands that they wouldn't have access to, help them market better in their markets, compete against other companies. We've been doing it across all spectrums and support everything that Somos is doing, and the FCC has moved in the secondary market and look to continue driving the industry forward.
All right, terrific.
I think the secondary market is probably one of the biggest futures for the toll-free market. There are business owners right now that won't invest. You invest in your businesses, you invest in your domains, you invest in your brands. It's tough to invest in an asset when you can't monetize it. We have business owners every day that come to our company looking for numbers to license, but they don't want a license, they want to own. They want to be able to build brand value into their numbers. So I think the secondary market allows people to invest in these brands, feature their brands, grow their brands, and ultimately, across the whole industry, the more people using numbers, investing in these brands drives more phone calls, that drives more minutes, it drives more needs for service providers, all things that I don't offer. We're just trying to help build vanity brands and get people numbers. And when they start using them, I'm a firm believer, I say it all the time, that most business owners have a Facebook page because most business owners have a Facebook page. And I think the more business owners that are using numbers, the more people will use numbers and drive more voice conversations. I think a secondary market allows for that. It allows for more numbers to come on the market, more ancillary services that come around those numbers, and to drive what I believe to be the most important method of marketing we have, which is voice, which I think we've lost a lot. It's very frustrating. One example would be, I could build a brand right now, make up any name you want, homecare.com. I could build it as a lead generation brand. I could build ads on that site, and I can go sell that site for millions and millions and millions of dollars. Well, if I do the same thing with 1-800-HOMECARE.com, pairing it with 1-800-HOMECARE, I can't go sell it in the open market. There are people who will come and say, I'd like that to buy your asset from you, but there's a toll-free number and I can't buy it. So how am I supposed, we've already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in this asset to build it, to make it a viable asset for my licensees. But I can't easily turn around and sell that in the marketplace. I think a secondary market starts to open that up and allows people to invest in and monetize these voice assets.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And it's interesting to hear from someone who's so close to this market, who's been in it for such a long period of time. And then from Jay's perspective, Jay talks about this right of use. And he talked this morning about establishing that as an asset and some rights around that asset as a right to use. And this is exactly what two of you are saying, a similar thing from different perspectives.